Chapter 4. Annika removed the lemon from her water glass. Now the setting was perfect. Delicious food in front of her, light music above her, Cameron across from her. Except he wasn't really across from her. Physically, he sat in the booth, but his mind was elsewhere tonight. Well, at least Cameron had remembered their dinner date this time. Cam, did you hear me? He jerked and set his phone down. No, sorry, what's up? Keep your voice gentle. Be kind, she told herself. I was asking if you wanted dessert. Whatever you want, I'm good either way. To be honest, she was getting full, but that cookie in the skillet kept calling her name. Taking a sip of her water, Annika turned the menu around so it wouldn't tempt her anymore. She glanced at the TV behind him. Ooh, he took him out, she said, seeing a football player plow into another. Look, there's the replay. She winced again. Cameron stared out into the crowded restaurant, then returned to his food. Annika bit her tongue, pushing her green beans around. You know I'm going to go skydiving on Tuesday. He looked at her. What? You hate heights. She laughed. Finally, a response. You seem a million miles away tonight. I am. I'm sorry. Cameron rubbed his forehead. Thinking about Tim? She asked. Yeah. Cameron scooped up a bite, but kept it hovering over his plate. He's devastated. I've never seen him cry before. Annika stilled. When I could, I used to run with him. For me and Josh, it was a hobby, a good way to stay in shape. But for Timothy, it's life. I can't even imagine. She set down her fork. How's his family taking it? They're hurting, for sure, but seem to be handling it pretty well. I know Josh, though. I know he feels guilty for not being able to protect him. It's not like he was there, though. No one could have done anything. Cameron ran a hand down his face. And on top of that, today, I got a notice that my dad put our house in my name. But still, he won't see me. He won't answer or return my calls. Is giving me the house his way of trying to make up for everything? His way of apologizing? Still, just hearing the mention of Dr. Baines made her stomach wrench. I don't know. Maybe he's too afraid, too ashamed to face you, she heard herself say. But I want to talk to him. I want to show him we've forgiven him. I want him to be saved, to experience some peace. He's not giving me a chance, not giving himself a chance. Cameron sighed. And again, maybe I'm not ready to see him. I still feel so betrayed, he said, fingers fiddling. I can't believe I've been living with a murderer. I feel so guilty. No, Cameron, stop. Annika rested her hand on his and then gripped it. We've talked about this. Your father gave you no reason to doubt him or suspect him. He had us all fooled. I just keep wishing I could have seen something, done something to stop him. Kim, hun, listen to yourself. You're doing the exact same thing that Josh is doing with his brother. Blaming yourself for something that was completely out of your control. Stop. She took both his hands and squeezed them. Look at me. I love you. You know there isn't any part of me that holds you responsible. So stop holding yourself responsible. Tears glossed over, mirroring hers. Thank you. Stroking her hand, Cameron kissed it. Sorry, I don't want to bring you down. No, don't be. It helps to talk it out. I know you got a lot on your plate. He glanced down at his glob of mashed potatoes and few pieces of chicken. Not that much. He winked. She smiled. There was the Cameron she knew and loved. Anything I can do? Help you feel better? Just keep praying for me, he said. A few extra hugs wouldn't hurt either. All right. Rising, she moved over to his seat and gave him a squeeze. Thanks. See? I'm already feeling better. Good. Pressing a kiss to his cheek, she headed back, but he reached for her elbow. You know, he began, those blue eyes locking her in place. The Bible says to turn the other cheek. Laughing, Annika kissed the other side. Holding balloons, Cameron walked through the corridor of Conroe Medical. Nurses and doctors bustled about, carrying clipboards, giving medication, checking vitals. Everyone had a job, a purpose. Except for visitors. Sure, they could be supportive and make small talk and bring gifts, but what they really wanted was something they could never do: fix everything, or take the pain themselves. The same thoughts he wished when his adopted mom was dying of cancer. Cameron turned to the right, finding room 109. Bracing himself, he peeked inside. Cameron expected to see 3 faces, but only saw Tim's. He was asleep. He looked better than the last time Cameron had come, but still nothing like himself, with the bandages and bruises that covered him from forehead to stump leg. It was especially weird seeing Timothy in a hospital bed. He was always running, eyes bright, telling Cameron of some new trail he and Josh had found, or him beating his own record. Even while sitting, Timothy's foot was tapping, always on the move, until now. Shutting his eyes, Cameron leaned against the wall. "Father, please help me. I still don't know what to do, what to say." "Dr. Baines?" Cameron turned around, seeing Josh's pleasantly surprised face. "Hey, Josh. I was wondering where everyone was." He pulled him in for a hug. "Wanted to see y'all and wish your brother a happy birthday." Josh squinted for a split second and then seemed to recover. "Oh, thanks. That means a lot. A few of his friends from track were here earlier." Leaving the nurse's station, Rebecca joined them in the hallway, a tired smile forming. "Dr. Baines, it's so sweet of you to come." She gestured to the balloons. "What's all this?" "Timothy's 17th birthday." Cameron grinned. "Oh, thank you. Yesterday we had a little impromptu party. It was good, but I hope to never celebrate anyone's birthday in a hospital again." She smiled wryly. "Let me see if he's awake." As she disappeared into the room, Cameron turned to Josh. "Josh, what day is it?" "Thursday the 9th, he admitted. Cameron groaned. "Ugh, I would bet $1,000 today was the 8th. He blew out a frustrated breath. "I'm sorry." "It's okay, Dr. Baines." Josh gripped his shoulder, smiling, shrugging it off. "It doesn't matter. I'll be just as happy to see you." Rebecca appeared again and ushered him inside. "He's awake. Come on in." Cameron lowered his arm so the blue and red balloons wouldn't hit the doorframe. "Please help me not forget anything else, Lord. Help me focus." "Hey, there he is. Happy belated birthday, Tim." "Dr. Baines, hey, thanks." He smiled faintly, sleepily. "I'm sorry I'm late, bud." "That's okay. Kinda cool, 'cause I wasn't expecting it. Bonus." Cameron returned the grin. "So, how are we holding up?" He touched his shoulder. "Better, thanks." Wincing, he shifted. "I don't know what's worse, though, being stuck in a hospital bed, or the fact that my brain keeps telling me I still have both my legs. Leg keeps hurting and it's not even there." Cameron lowered on a nearby couch. "I know. It's a painful and annoying reminder, but it's a very natural occurrence. Have they given you one of those little boxes with a mirror yet?" "Yeah, that was crazy." Tim grabbed the metal triangle hanging overhead and adjusted himself. "The doctor came in and had me stick my leg in the box, and I moved my leg up and down and then watched the reflection. So me seeing the reflection of my healthy leg tricked my brain into thinking I still had both legs. The pain went away." Cameron nodded, enjoying the conversation and spirit of the room. He felt peace and optimism flowing out of Timothy's mouth and interlining Rebecca's and Joshua's expressions. Cameron talked with the 3 for a few minutes longer. He knew they appreciated the visits, but deep down were exhausted and weren't up to marathon talks. He glanced at Timothy, but the teenager snored softly, pain medications making him drowsy and listless. "I better get back to work," Cameron whispered. "Thank you for coming." Rebecca gathered him in a hug. "It means so much to us." "Yeah, Dr. Baines, thanks," Josh said. "And thanks for that coffee, where your girlfriend works. It's amazing." "That was all their idea." He waved in farewell. "Love you guys." "Love you too," they answered. Cameron headed down the hall, his shoes squeaking. It was a never-ending, constant battle lately, and they surely felt the same. A roller coaster of emotions. Relief and joy one moment at Timothy's spirit and recovery, then fear and stress of the upcoming trials and therapy he would have to face. "Dr. Baines," Rebecca's voice. He turned around. Stepping toward him, she took one of his hands and covered it with both of hers. "I never said thank you for what you did for Timothy that day." Oh, it's no problem. His shoulders slumped. I'm just so sorry I didn't drive him home. Please, don't blame yourself. When Tim sets his mind on something, he's going to do it. He's alive and doing well. That's what matters. He nodded, finding a smile. What an incredible attitude. He felt as if God had sent her to comfort him in this very moment. Here he was feeling guilty, and here she was thanking him. She continued, I've heard it said that evil exists because good men do nothing. But you did something. You did what was right. So, her voice trembled. Thank you. Cameron hugged her. Thank you. You don't know how much I needed that today. Back to work Sunday morning, Annika laughed as Crystal whacked Jake with the towel in her hand. Ouch, quit it, he said. Save me, boss. Annika caught Crystal's towel, pulled it away from her, and slapped her with it. Come on, guys. We've got to finish cleaning the tables. Soon, tired and grumpy customers would come staggering in like zombies, chanting one word, coffee. Jake picked up a bottle and started spraying everything in sight. Annika pinched her nose. Jake, how many times have I told you? Don't buy cleaners with bleach. I hate the smell. It makes me feel sick. Oh, sorry, boss, but that's all they had at the store. I'd rather you use window cleaner. The workday began. Customers filed in, some grabbing a cup to go and dashing out the door, others lingering at the tables, chatting with friends. Annika noticed Celia was neither of those. Alone, she sat and sipped her hot chocolate. But there she stayed, appearing worn and burdened. When Celia ordered, she had asked Annika how Timothy was doing. Again. Which was sweet and innocent enough, but Celia seemed more interested and concerned than the average person. Was this hit and run bringing dark memories for Celia? Annika knew exactly what that felt like. Something jerking you back down memory lane. A burned-down structure, the smell of smoke, or seeing parents dote on an only child. Many things could take Annika back to moments with her mother and father. Take her back to the hard days of investigating their murder. The bell rang. Wearing jeans and a green dress shirt, Cameron greeted her with a smile. Seeing him enter her room still made her heart soar. She wondered if that would ever change. She was feeling even more connected to Cameron lately, feeling his pain and joy as if it was her own. Hey, Cam. She walked around the counter. How's it going? Pretty good. How are you doing? He took her hands. Fine. Been busy here. Good busy. Can I get you something? Yeah, but first, do you have any plans this week? Her stomach fluttered. Sounds like I do now. Awesome. My mom invited us over for dinner one day this week. She plans to make her famous lasagna. Ooh, one of my favorite dishes. I'll be there. Great. Though Cameron smiled, his expression grew hesitant. Also, I have a favor to ask. Okay, name it. I have a book I was going to loan to Josh since he's at the hospital so much. I was wondering if you would mind coming with me? Maybe we could go before we have dinner? Having you with me always strengthens me, and I need that, especially now. Now her stomach churned. It's one thing giving them breakfast, but an actual visit? I'm not going to know what to say, she thought. Annika squelched the fear. Yeah, of course. No problem. You're sure you don't mind? No, it's fine, she reassured. I'd like to be with you. He sighed, and Annika could practically see the weight falling off his shoulders. He embraced her. Thank you. Though not especially looking forward to it, she smiled. In the past, she felt he was her rock, always comforting and holding her. Now it was her turn. Thank you, Lord, and thank you, Theo and Thea. Cameron released her. While I'm here, you mind getting me a cup to go? I need some caffeine. I'm still trying to wake up. Yeah, sure thing. Your usual? Yes, please. Annika slipped behind the counter and prepared his drink, a cafe mocha with extra cream. While she worked, she tapped Jake's shoulder, having not forgotten about that morning's conversation. Hey, Jake. He looked at her, tawny brown hair in his face. I'm sorry about earlier. About what? When I snapped at you about the bleach, I didn't mean to. Oh! He shrugged, breathing out a laugh. No worries. Thanks, though. It's all good. Annika shook her head and smiled. She loved how guys made up and forgave so easily. Hey, boss, I think Cameron's trying to get your attention. She turned. Cameron was smiling, waving goodbye, pulling the door open to leave. Cam, wait! She snatched a lid for his disposable cup, struggled to put it on, and then quickly walked toward him. What about your drink? Oh, just what I needed. He took it and smiled warmly at her. Thanks, sweetheart. Before Annika could respond, he kissed her cheek and left, strolling toward his vehicle. She blinked. Did you forget you had asked for that? Another day at the office, Patrick replaced the phone to its holder, rubbed his eyes and stretched. He needed coffee. He needed sleep. He needed a new job, a new environment. One of these days, Patrick was sure he was going to snap and punch someone. Some days it was fine. Other days it seemed the noise, the hassle, the stress, the blaming, the chatter would never cease. Today was one of those days. Gould! Patrick turned to his boss's harried voice. Yes, sir? I need to see you in my office. Now. Blowing out a quick breath, Patrick followed his boss down the hall, doing his best to remain calm. Release the tension, allow the charm to settle back into place. If Fuller was having a bad day, which was usually Monday through Friday, the girls hid behind their paperwork and the guys grinded their teeth to nothing. Patrick was used to that. However, right now, it seemed Fuller had something specific on the brain, assuming he had one. Though striding on carpet, Patrick felt he was plodding through a mud hole. By getting back at his boss, he was making things increasingly tense at the office. But he had to remind himself that since day one, Fuller had been making his life here an absolute nightmare. Sometimes things had to get worse before they got better. Just a few more thousand and I'm out of here. Just a few more months and I'm free. Close the door. Patrick did. Then he sat in the leather chair opposite the desk. The Thompson account. Everything all right on our end? Fuller asked. Patrick took the file from him, scanning over it. Everything's in order. TV spots are ordered and paid for. He handed it back. What's the problem? Fuller bit the end of his glasses, sorting through the mess of documents. I don't know where all this money's going, that's the problem. Well, we did spend quite a bit for that whole new ad campaign. Also, we had to rework the billboard. Yes, but that still doesn't add up to this amount. By my standards, we're off by several thousand. Patrick didn't miss a beat. Laura's the one who signed off on all these charges. Maybe you should talk to her. I'm hoping it's a mess with the accounting department. But if it's someone dipping into our funds, he's going to wish he'd never been born once I'm through with him. Patrick's chest suddenly felt warm and hollow. Take a look at the door opened, and in came Brian with a steaming cup of coffee. What is it, Blake? Fuller demanded. You left your coffee on the filing cabinet. He set the cup on a coaster on the wooden desk. You need sugar or cream? Patrick rolled his eyes. No, Fuller muttered, focusing on his work again. And don't just burst into my office like that. Brian straightened. Yes, sir. Patrick smirked. Brian glared. Fuller raised the cup to his mouth. Since you're here, go find Laura. Tell her to bring anything and everything she has on the Thompson account. Check stubs, receipts, all of it. Yes, sir, right away. Brian spun on his heel to leave, but then stopped. You know, I aced on my math test in high school and college. I'd be happy to help. You're in sales, Patrick said, not accounting. Brian planted his hands on his hips. Listen, Patrick. Blake, enough, Fuller barked. Get Laura. Yes, sir. He dashed out the door. Patrick leaned forward, lowering his voice. Sir, I will do anything if you fire him. His boss made eye contact with him. Gould, no one's going anywhere until I get to the bottom of this. Sliding the till back in the register, Monica smiled at Celia, dressed like a runway model. Maroon pants, silk shirt, hair curled, makeup perfect. Hey, Celia, your usual? Annika asked. Yes, please. And can I talk to you for a sec? Annika did a quick check of the room. Jake was sweeping, Krista was dusting while dancing to the music over the speakers. Besides Celia, only one customer was in, and he seemed content with his muffin and coffee. She had time. Yeah, of course, Annika said. We can talk in one of the booths. With a nod, Celia paid and then sat in a booth in the far corner. Getting her drink ready, Annika prayed the conversation would go well. Something in Celia's demeanor set her on edge. Hot chocolate in hand, Annika set it on the table and then plopped down in the seat across from her. So, what's on your mind? Celia tucked her hair behind her ear. I hope you don't think I was eavesdropping, but I overheard you and Cameron considering going to the hospital to see his patient, the one in the hit and run. Annika slowly nodded, confused. Timothy? Right. Yes, Timothy. I was wondering if you could give this to the family for me? She pulled out a manila envelope from her huge purse and handed it to Annika. Annika took it. You want me to give this to Timothy and his family? Yes, please, if it's not too much trouble. Celia, she weighed it in her hand. Is this cash? What'd you do, rob a bank? No. She looked at the table and then out the window. But hearing you talk about that family and the Bible studies about selflessness, seeing you guys giving of yourselves, giving coffee to them, I feel I need to do this. I want to help. Wow, Annika let out a breath. That's so sweet, so generous. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. And please, please don't tell anyone who donated it. I want it to be anonymous. Though in shock, Annika consented. How could she deny this request? All right, I'll take it to them. Celia sighed in relief. Thank you. Thank you, Annika said, rising and giving her a hug. On behalf of the family, thank you so, so much. She blushed and then glanced at her watch. I better get to work. Thank you again. Watching her go, Annika shook her head. She couldn't quite figure Celia out. One minute she seemed so shy, so to herself, not getting fully involved. The next moment, she decided to give a wad of money to strangers. Annika weighed the donation in her hand again. She had to know. Prying open the envelope, Annika headed to the back room and dumped the cash onto the counter. Her jaw dropped, staring at all the Benjamin Franklins smiling at her. She fanned through the bills quickly. Hundreds, thousands of dollars. Stuffing the money back in its hiding place, Annika ran to the window, catching Celia's license plate as she pulled out of the driveway. Jotting the jumble of numbers and letters on her pad, she called Detective Harrison. He was in homicide, but had been helpful in many areas of investigating, and had been instrumental in finding her parents' murderer. Harrison. Hi, Detective. It's Annika. Hey there, kid. What can I do for you? There was a hit and run last week in Conroe. I just have some suspicions. Could you look up this license plate to see if the car's been recently repaired? It's a Volkswagen. Sure, he said. Give me the number. LZY 1775. Got it. I'll let you know if the guys find anything. She smiled. Thanks, Detective. Talk to you later. With that done, Annika returned to the back room and counted each crisp bill, slowly, meticulously. Celia Garner had just handed her $20,000. Annika's mind swirled with so many questions it hurt. Could it be possible Celia was the one responsible for Timothy's injuries? Could that be the reason she was so concerned? It would explain why she broke down at Bible study when they requested prayer for him. Why else would she give such an extravagant donation to the Kimes? Also, how could Celia have gotten a hold of this much cash? Resealing the envelope, Annika entered the combination to the safe and placed the money inside. Then she made one more phone call. Cameron answered on the second ring. Hey, beautiful. Hey, Cam, you have a minute? For you, too. What's up? Do you think we could see the Kimes earlier in the week? Like, maybe tonight? He seemed to be checking his mental calendar. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to practice for song service tonight with the guys. How about tomorrow? Yeah, that's fine. Any special reason, he asked? Well, because Celia came by today and she gave me an envelope. A what? He asked. An envelope with some cash in it. It's a donation for the Kimes. Oh, that was sweet of her, Cameron said, surprised in his tone. She didn't have to do that. Yeah, but... She lowered her voice. Cameron, there's $20,000 inside. He paused. What? I know, it's crazy. I don't feel comfortable having this much money, even in my safe. I'd like to give it to them as soon as possible. Right. We'll go tomorrow. Thanks. Annika chewed on her lower lip as she chewed on this next thought. I still can't believe she gave so much. Do hairstylists make that kind of money? She imagined Cameron shrugging. If they do, maybe I should switch careers. He laughed. Maybe she's just really disciplined in saving her money. I doubt it. Every time I see her, she's got a name brand purse or a designer jacket. Maybe her family's wealthy? Maybe. But that still doesn't explain why Celia would give so much money to someone she doesn't even know. I mean, I would have been floored at 1,000, but 20? She glanced out the window, quieting her voice again. Cameron, do you think it's possible that Celia is the one who's responsible? For what? He asked. Timothy's accident. Oh, no. His voice trailed off, reason battling with trust. I mean, I hope not. No, Celia doesn't seem the type to leave someone for dead after hitting them with her car. She seems too sweet for that. Yeah, but what if she panicked? That's most people in high-stress situations. Scream and run, every man for himself. Annika sighed. She's been so curious about how Tim's doing. And remember how she ran out of Bible study that day? She seemed so guilty, he finished. Exactly. Cameron half exhaled, half groaned. What do we do? Confront her about it? Well, I called Detective Harrison and asked him to run her license plate, see if her car had been recently repaired. If it has, then I'll go from there. Maybe I could talk to her or have Detective Harrison go with me. Good idea. And be sure to let me know if I can help in any way. I will. Thanks, Cameron. Thank you. You don't know the Kimes very well, and yet you're willing to investigate the accident and give your oh-so-amazing coffee to them. They really appreciate you, Annika. I really appreciate you. It's my pleasure. And because they're special to you, then they're special to me. Thanks, hon. You're the best. I know, right? The bell dinged, and dinged again, drowning out his laughter. Oh, duty calls, she said. I gotta go, but I'll see you tomorrow, huh? You got it. Love you. She smiled, those words never failing to warm her heart. Love you too. Bye.